Nakamura Yosuke, 32, unemployed. 0 savings, overdue rent, but the word despair doesn't exist in his dictionary. He keeps telling himself this is just a stepping stone to the next stage, as he lives each day brimming with positivity. However, reality is harsh. He just lost his only source of income, a part-time job at a convenience store.
Nakamura-kun, I like that you're so cheerful, but you really need to take your work more seriously. You're causing trouble here.
Whoa, seriously? Well, hey, maybe it's fate. There's got to be a better workplace waiting for me next.
That's not the point.
Even after being fired, Yosuke walks with a spring in his step. His life philosophy is always, it'll all work out. But the moment he returns to his apartment, reality hits. A final eviction notice for unpaid rent, printed in red, is shoved in his door slot.
Uh-oh, guess it's trial time. But a pinch is a chance.
Meanwhile, Fujisawa Luka, 30, is an accountant at a major firm in Tokyo. She's dedicated to her work, but has little experience in love. She's so busy today that she works right up until the very last minute of her lunch break.
All right, I finally wrapped that up. Maybe I'll grab lunch outside today.
Seated on a park bench, Luka takes a slow, deep breath. Under the gentle sunshine, she finally has a moment to relax. Just as she opens her boxed lunch and reaches for her chopsticks.
Ah!
Her hand slips, and her lunch tumbles off the bench. Stunned, she watches it fall. Right then, a man appears beside the scattered lunch.
Whoa, this has got to be destiny.
He beams so brightly, it's as though he's turning a small tragedy into a comedy.
Huh? Are you kidding me?
Luka sighs at the sight of her ruined lunch. On this terrible break, the carefree tone of a total stranger only fuels her irritation.
Now, this is just a bump in the road. Next time, you'll get something even tastier, guaranteed.
Shut it.
Luka's tense expression reveals how badly she wants to walk away. But Yosuke doesn't seem to mind, smiling as if this were the best day ever. That day, Luka feels more exhausted than usual. There were long meetings, harsh critiques from her boss, and a mountain of work.
I'm so sick of this.
No time to chat with coworkers, just chasing deadlines. She realizes she barely has a moment to breathe. In that moment, the memory of that man, Nakamura Yosuke, flashes through her mind.
He was so carefree. How can he be that positive?
His words were utterly unrealistic, yet they cling to her thoughts and won't let go. Still feeling unsettled, Luka heads to her usual café. Inside, the atmosphere is calm enough to let her finally unwind. But as soon as she sits, she spots a familiar figure.
Him again?
It's Yosuke by the window, scribbling something in a notebook with a serious expression. His coffee cup is already empty, indicating he's been there quite a while.
Ah, you're the lunchbox lady.
Huh?
Though Luka makes a fed-up face, she strangely doesn't feel like correcting him.
Wow, what a coincidence. Never expected to see you here.
Coincidence? More like, why are you here?
I'm working on a business plan.
Yosuke proudly shows her his notebook. But all it has are random words linked with arrows and the huge phrase, key to success.
What am I even looking at?
I'm telling you, I'm going to succeed for sure. Right now, I'm just getting ready.
Luka exhales a long sigh. He's got no real plan, just hope and enthusiasm.
Dreaming's fine, but you need to face reality.
Whoa, that's how people who fail think. Gotta believe first.
His comment leaves Luka speechless for a moment. Yes, his idea is absurd. Still, there's something dazzling about the conviction in his eyes.
Do you even have any savings?
Nope.
Have you paid your rent?
Pretty sure they're about to kick me out.
Luka cradles her head in her hands. She just can't fathom how he stays so optimistic.
You sure this is okay?
Absolutely. I'm a master at enjoying life.
It's ridiculous, and yet somehow his words resonate within her. The next day finds Luka back at work. But she randomly recalls Yosuke's words from the day before.
Am I just working my life away?
She doesn't understand his approach, but part of her wonders if she'd like to believe in something too. That night, Luka visits the cafe again. As expected, he's at his usual seat, notebook spread open. With a sigh, Luka orders a coffee, then walks over to him.
And do you really think you can succeed?
Of course, I'm the kind of guy who always makes it happen.
Once again, no proof, just pure confidence. But what's the secret behind that unwavering faith? It's so foolish, yet his straightforward attitude seems oddly enviable. Luka can't ignore how his words stir something inside her. Meanwhile, at home, Yosuke stares at stacks of startup books in the corner, jotting down ideas in his notebook. He has notes on failed past attempts, possible improvements, and plans for what's next. He's not just blindly optimistic.
This time, I'm definitely making it happen.
The following morning, Luka heads to her office as usual. She sits down and powers up her computer, but she can't get yesterday's conversation out of her head.
Why does he have so much confidence without any real basis?
At lunchtime, she absent-mindedly searches startup success stories on her phone. Telling herself it's not because of him, she still finds herself reading about people who dared to try, just like him. After work, she drops by the same café once again. Sure enough, there's Yosuke in his usual spot.
Oh, it's the lunchbox lady again.
Stop calling me that.
Then tell me your name.
Fujisawa Luka.
He nods dramatically, then offers her a big, cheerful grin while extending his hand.
Luka-san, that's a great name. Nice to meet you.
Though hesitant, Luka shakes his hand. Something shifts the moment their hands touch. He may seem flighty, but there's a genuine belief in his eyes. To Luka, it's strangely brilliant.
So what are you doing today?
Looking into how to run a cafe.
She peeks at his notebook. It's now filled with actual management strategies, way more detailed than before.
Surprising. You're actually researching this.
Of course, if I want to succeed, I gotta study, right?
Luka is taken aback. Though he once seemed to run on pure energy, now he's building a practical foundation. She finds it unexpectedly reassuring.
If you need help with accounting, I could teach you a bit.
Seriously, that would be amazing.
From that day forward, Luka starts teaching Yosuke the basics of accounting. At first, she wonders why she's doing it, but seeing his serious face, she oddly starts to enjoy it. A few weeks later, Yosuke's notebook is jam-packed with concrete plans for opening a cafe.
Perfect. I looked into funding options, so next up, finding a location.
You're really serious, huh?
For the first time, Luka thinks maybe he actually can succeed. At the same time, she notices something changing within herself.
I guess I forgot what it feels like to chase a dream.
She used to laugh at how ridiculous his goal sounded, but now she wants to cheer him on, just a little. Her heart has begun shifting bit by bit. Weeks pass since they started talking about cafe management. Yosuke fills his notebook with new ideas every day, while Luka quietly watches him work.
I finally decided to check out some properties in person.
Huh, already?
His momentum never loses steam. But Luka can't help feeling a little anxious.
How do you plan to get the money for this?
I researched that. I'm going to use grants and crowdfunding.
He shows her information on grants and crowdfunding on his phone.
I'm kind of impressed you actually did your homework.
Of course, if I want to succeed, I need to be prepared.
Luka sighs, but deep down, she's taking his plan seriously now.
If you're really gonna do this, I'll help a little.
Really? That's awesome.
His eyes sparkle, and Luka can't help but smile wryly.
But we need a realistic strategy, and only on my days off, got it?
Wait, does that mean it's sort of like a date?
Huh? Who said that?
Blushing, Luka glares at him, but she can't fully deny it.
Heh, just teasing. But I'm psyched that we'll be working together, Luka-san.
Yosuke's honest grin makes her quickly avert her eyes. The following weekend, they head out to see a potential property for the cafe. First stop, a small space on a quiet street, a bit away from the station.
Wow. The vibe here is kind of nice.
Sure, it has a good atmosphere, but I'm worried about foot traffic.
Yosuke roams inside, letting his imagination run wild.
Let's put a counter here. And maybe a cozy reading nook in the back.
You're already picturing all that?
Luka is half amazed, yet she notices his enthusiasm is pulling her in. After their viewing, they return to a cafe to work on the plan again.
If we're opening up shop, we should do a budget simulation first.
Right, Luka-san, I'm counting on you.
Before she knows it, Luka is deeply involved in his plan. She used to think it was reckless, but now she's actually thinking about the future alongside him.
Why do I feel so excited about this?
Somehow, Yosuke's dream is slowly sparking a change in her own heart. What she once called a silly pipe dream feels more and more real now. Their shared dream is gradually but surely taking shape. 3 months slip by in full-scale preparation for the café. They juggle funding, interior design, menu development, no rest in sight. They stay up late making documents, then meet contractors first thing in the morning. Luka comes after her regular job, while Yosuke barely sleeps, dashing around every day. As a final lifeline, they launch a crowdfunding campaign. Yosuke films a video expressing their dream for the café, while Luka meticulously plans the support tiers. Please lend us your help. Let's build our dream café together. With those words, the project goes live. Initially, funds pour in faster than expected. But then it plateaus, not even hitting half their goal.
Yosuke, can we really keep going like this?
Don't worry, I'll find a way.
Yet his tone doesn't sound as confident as usual. That night, Yosuke heaves a heavy sigh on his own. No matter how many times he refreshes the page, the total doesn't climb. Maybe it's really over this time, crosses his mind. Just then, Luka catches sight of his slumped shoulders from behind the counter. She's never seen him so down. He's always been smiling before. Seeing him like that causes a twinge in her chest. Quietly, she sets a cup of coffee in front of him.
Why not take a break?
He looks up to find her gentle gaze on him. Those eyes aren't pitying. They're quietly urging him not to give up. He gives a small laugh, sips the coffee, and nods.
Thanks, it's not over yet, right?
The next day, he records another video, once again laying bare his passion for the cafe. I can't let it end here! Won't you help us make our cafe a reality? His message brims with renewed energy, and Luka writes personal notes to each supporter with care. That passion begins to spread once more. Social media shares, words of encouragement, the momentum picks up, and at last they surpass their goal.
I'm honestly shocked we raised this much.
See, everybody's cheering for our cafe.
Yosuke and Luka glance at each other, then burst into laughter. People's hearts are already starting to gather around their cafe. With funding secured, the interior renovations move forward in earnest. They repaint walls, arrange furniture, slowly shaping their dream cafe.
Hey, what if we go with a brighter shade on this wall?
Not a bad idea, but let's keep the overall design in mind.
While painting, Luka accidentally splashes some paint on her fingers.
Hold on, let me help.
Yosuke pulls out a handkerchief and gently wipes her hand.
I can handle it myself.
Yet she can't ignore the tiny flutter in her heart at the warmth of his touch. She also works on test recipes for cakes, determined to perfect the menu.
Wow, this is really tasty. I totally want to make this one of our signature items.
Don't just decide that on your own, but I'm glad you like it.
At first, she was merely helping out, but Luka notices her perspective changing. As they near the cafe's debut, she feels this place may be where she truly belongs.
Why am I so into this now?
She thought she was just assisting with his dream, but now she's chasing it by his side. Finally, opening day draws near.
It's almost here. Luka-san!
Yeah, hard to believe it's really happening.
They sit together at the counter of their nearly finished cafe.
Thank you so much for sticking with me through all of this.
I told you I'd help on my days off, remember?
Still, she knows it's no longer just about her days off. Quietly, Luka gazes at the cafe, uncertain what to call the feeling blossoming inside her. At last, the day of the grand opening arrives for Yosuke and Luka's cafe. They're already standing outside in the early morning.
Wow, we finally made it.
We really opened our own cafe.
Fixing her eyes on the sign, Luka senses just how real it all is. What was once a wild fantasy has become her own reality too.
All right, let's wait for our very first customer.
Instead of just waiting, get back inside and make sure everything's ready.
A few hours later, the very first customer walks in.
A new place, huh? What kind of menu do you have?
We recommend our special blend coffee and homemade cakes.
Yosuke greets them with his usual cheer, while Luka handles the register without a hitch. Soon, more customers come, and the cafe grows lively. During a brief lull, Luka steals a glance at Yosuke's profile.
Never imagined I'd see a scene like this.
He might have seemed reckless, but he poured his heart into building this cafe. Now to her, he looks genuinely dependable.
Luka-san, today's sales are looking pretty good.
Well, I'd say not bad.
Luka allows herself a small smile, which doesn't escape Yosuke's notice. When closing time comes, they clean up and recap the day's events.
Man, day one was a total success.
Hey, don't jump to conclusions so fast.
But look at how many customers showed up. Our cafe is awesome.
That baseless confidence might just be one of his biggest strengths. After finishing up, they sit down together at the counter.
Luka-san, I really appreciate everything. There's no way I'd have made it this far alone.
Yeah, I know.
She averts her gaze, feeling a bit embarrassed. In the quiet night of the closed cafe, they share a moment just for them.
When I'm with you, I feel like I can do anything.
Luka's heart skips a beat at his words.
Don't say stupid stuff.
She lets out a tiny laugh, but inside, an indescribable emotion surges. She thought she was just swept up in his dream. Yet now it feels like her dream too. Their cafe opened today, marking the start of something entirely new. And for Luka, it's the beginning of a brand new chapter in her life. She starts to realize that with him by her side, anything might just be possible.